Have you ever woken up one day feeling like you've been chasing the same dreams for years, yet they still feel out of reach? Maybe you've worked hard, set goals, and followed the right steps, but something always seems to get in the way. It's frustrating, isn't it? You start questioning your efforts, wondering if your dreams are even meant to come true. But what if the key to manifesting your goals isn't about working harder or following a rigid plan? What if it's about aligning your actions with your deepest intentions and tapping into a power that's been inside you all along? Manifestation isn't some abstract concept for dreamers. It's a proven process that can transform your life, especially when you understand the science behind it. It's more than just thinking positively or wishing for change. Manifestation is about clarity, consistency, and aligning your daily actions with the life you want to create. And when you do this, it becomes impossible for success not to follow. So, how can you start manifesting the life you've always wanted? And what's holding you back from truly stepping into your power? Stick around. In this video, we'll break it down step by step so you can start manifesting a new reality today. If you're ready to take control of your life, make sure to hit like and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official, where we dive into practical, actionable strategies to help you grow and thrive. Reclaim your peace, breaking free from external pressure. External pressures can overwhelm us, shaping our decisions and making us feel like we're always chasing something outside of ourselves. In a world where everyone is shouting for our attention, it's easy to forget what truly matters. We often feel like we need to meet others' expectations or conform to external standards of success and happiness, all while silently losing our own peace in the process. Take a woman, for instance. She had always been driven to meet the expectations set by her family and society. Everyone around her seemed to have it all figured out: successful careers, perfect relationships, and lives that looked flawless on the outside. She constantly compared herself to others, thinking that she wasn't measuring up. She found herself stressed, anxious, and disconnected from her true desires, simply trying to keep pace with what everyone else was doing. In times like these, we lose sight of the fact that we can't control the world outside of us, but we can control how we respond to it. The Stoic principle of focusing on what we can control teaches us that our inner peace isn't dictated by external circumstances, but by our responses to them. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This wisdom can be life-changing. When we stop allowing the opinions of others, the chaos of society, and the endless pursuit of approval to dictate our choices, we reclaim our peace. It's easy to forget that we don't have to be a reflection of everyone else's vision of success. By aligning with our core values and focusing on what's meaningful to us, we free ourselves from the chains of external pressure. This is about standing firm in your truth, regardless of the noise around you. Take, for example, a man who feels constant pressure to succeed at work, always pushing himself to prove his worth through achievements. One day, he realizes that this rush has caused him to neglect his health, relationships, and personal well-being. In a moment of clarity, he decides to shift his focus. Instead of chasing validation through success alone, he begins to prioritize his peace, health, and happiness. By learning to let go of the need for approval, he finds a balance that allows him to thrive without sacrificing his sense of self. So, how do we start reclaiming our peace? It begins with awareness. The first step is acknowledging that much of the stress we experience comes from trying to meet expectations that aren't our own. We need to ask ourselves, what truly matters to me? Once we're clear on our own values, we can focus on what we control: our mindset, our actions, and our responses to life's challenges. This isn't about ignoring external pressures or pretending they don't exist. It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose how we respond. By grounding ourselves in Stoic principles and accepting that we can't control everything, we open ourselves up to inner peace. This is the freedom to act in alignment with our true selves, rather than being at the mercy of outside forces. Have you ever stopped to consider how much of your stress comes from external pressures? What would it feel like to release the weight of other people's expectations and focus solely on what brings you peace? Start by asking yourself that question and see how it changes the way you approach each day. Stop being the tough guy. Embrace vulnerability. We often live with the pressure to be tough, to appear invincible and in control, especially in a world that rewards strength and resilience. There's a subtle, unspoken expectation that we should face life's challenges without showing weakness, as if vulnerability is a flaw rather than a powerful aspect of being human. But what if embracing vulnerability could actually lead us to greater inner peace and more authentic connections? Consider a man who always prided himself on being strong and self-sufficient. He never let anyone see his struggles, always putting up a front of being completely fine, even when life was anything but. He thought he had to keep his emotions in check, refusing to express fear, sadness, or uncertainty. But after a particularly tough period, he realized he was exhausted, not just physically, but emotionally drained. The walls he had built to protect himself were now suffocating him. This is where Stoic wisdom offers a profound insight. Vulnerability is not weakness. In fact, it's a source of strength. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, taught that embracing what we cannot control, including our emotions and limitations, helps us gain mastery over ourselves. He said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, our struggles, when acknowledged and faced, are often the key to growth. When we think we have to be the tough guy or the tough girl, we deny ourselves the opportunity to learn from our difficulties. Vulnerability, on the other hand, invites us to be honest with ourselves and others. It allows us to connect deeply with people, share our true selves, and ultimately experience life more fully. Isn't it interesting that the people we admire most are often those who have the courage to be vulnerable? Think about it. Don't we all find ourselves drawn to those who are authentic, those who can admit their mistakes and weaknesses and grow from them? It's not about being constantly exposed or oversharing, but about having the courage to acknowledge our fears, insecurities, and struggles. By doing so, we free ourselves from the burden of pretending to be something we're not. And let's be honest, who has the energy to keep up the facade all the time? The man I mentioned earlier found that once he began allowing himself to be more open about his challenges, whether at work, in his relationships, or in his own mind, he felt a sense of relief he hadn't known in years. By letting go of the need to be perfect or invulnerable, he found that people respected him more, not less. He was able to form deeper, more meaningful connections, and most importantly, he started to understand himself better. Now, imagine what could happen if we all let go of this need to appear flawless. How much more peace could we find if we stopped pretending to have it all together? What if we started viewing vulnerability not as a risk, but as a path to personal freedom? At the end of the day, life doesn't demand that we be invincible. It asks us to be human. So ask yourself, what would happen if you allowed yourself to feel full, to express what's really going on inside? What might shift in your relationships, your work, and your own personal peace if you stopped trying to be tough all the time and embraced your true self, flaws and all? Setting clear intentions. What do you want out of life? It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of life, drifting from one moment to the next without stopping to think about what we truly want. So often, we chase after goals that are set by others or defined by society, career achievements, material success, or external validation, without ever asking ourselves, what do I truly want out of life? Setting clear intentions is about answering that question with honesty and then aligning your actions with your deepest desires. Imagine a woman who spent years focusing on what everyone around her expected, getting a good job, earning a steady income, and ticking off the typical success boxes. She looked successful from the outside, but inside, she felt lost. Her life had been running on autopilot, and she had never taken the time to sit down and reflect on what she truly wanted. It wasn't until she started asking herself, what do I really want? What would make me feel fulfilled? That things began to shift. She realized that her passion was in helping others, not just working in a corporate environment. With this new clarity, she set a clear intention to build a career that allowed her to contribute to others while still living a balanced life. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, emphasized that we must direct our energy where it matters most. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Setting clear intentions is a way to take control of your own life, rather than letting it be shaped by the demands of the outside world. When we set clear intentions, we are no longer subject to randomness or external pressures. We create our own purpose. Think about it. How can you move forward effectively if you don't even know where you're going? It's like trying to drive without a map. You might end up somewhere, but it's unlikely to be where you want to be. Clarity is what helps us navigate through life's decisions, big or small. Without it, we're left guessing and hoping we're making the right moves. But with clear intentions, we can look at each opportunity and ask, does this align with my purpose? And if it doesn't, we know to turn away. The woman I mentioned earlier didn't get there overnight. Setting clear intentions required deep self-reflection, and it wasn't always easy. But once she started making choices based on her true desires, everything began to change. She began to feel more fulfilled, less stressed, and more connected to her own life. It wasn't that everything suddenly became perfect, but her life had a direction, and that made all the difference. Now, think about your own life. What would it look like if you took the time to set clear intentions? What would it feel like to wake up each day knowing exactly what you want to achieve and why? Would it change the way you approach your work, your relationships, or your personal growth? By setting clear intentions, you start to live with purpose and direction, and that is the foundation for a truly fulfilling life. So what's stopping you from getting clear on what you want? Wouldn't it be worth it to stop and ask yourself the most important question you can? What do I really want out of life? Align your daily actions with your manifested goals. Once you've set clear intentions for your life, the next crucial step is aligning your daily actions with those goals. It's one thing to say you want something. It's another thing entirely to take consistent action that moves you closer to it every day. Too often, people set big, bold goals, but fail to back them up with deliberate, intentional steps. The truth is, you can't just wait for things to happen. You have to actively pursue them. Consider the case of a man who dreamed of running a successful business. He had a vision, a company that would impact his community positively. But every morning, he would wake up, check emails, attend meetings, and find himself distracted by urgent tasks that weren't aligned with his bigger vision. Weeks went by, and he realized that his daily actions weren't moving him closer to his goal. He wasn't building the foundation he needed for his dream to grow. That's when he realized the problem. He was working hard, but not on the right things. So, he made a shift. He started prioritizing activities that directly aligned with his goal, reaching out to potential clients, refining his business plan, and networking with others who shared his vision. Slowly but surely, he saw his business begin to grow. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." This quote perfectly captures the essence of aligning daily actions with your goals. It's about embodying your intentions through your behavior and your choices. If you want to be healthy, you don't just think about it. You eat better, exercise, and rest. If you want to be successful in your career, you don't just talk about it. You work toward it, step by step, day by day. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, I'll work on my goals when I have time. But the reality is that if your daily actions don't reflect your true priorities, your goals will remain distant dreams. How often have you found yourself procrastinating on the tasks that matter most, convincing yourself that you'll get to them tomorrow? But tomorrow never comes, does it? The truth is, today is the day to take action. And it's the small, daily steps that will ultimately lead to big changes. A woman once found herself overwhelmed by the desire to improve her health, but she would always get sidetracked by work or social events. One day, she decided to make a small but powerful change. Each morning, she would spend just 20 minutes exercising before starting her day. Over time, this commitment became a habit, and before long, she noticed a transformation, not just in her physical health, but also in her mindset. Aligning her daily actions with her health goal didn't just help her lose weight, It gave her the confidence to take charge of other areas of her life as well. So, what happens when you align your actions with your goals? You create momentum. You start seeing progress, and progress leads to motivation. When your actions reflect your intentions, the gap between where you are and where you want to be begins to close. You may not see massive changes overnight, but every small step adds up. Think about this. If you were to examine your day right now, would you find your actions supporting your deepest desires, or are you simply reacting to the demands around you? Are your daily choices moving you closer to the life you truly want, or are you stuck in a cycle of distractions? The next time you set a goal, ask yourself, what action can I take today that will bring me closer to this? It's the daily commitment to your intentions that will turn your dreams into reality. Visualization. See your ideal life in full detail. Visualization is a powerful tool, one that allows you to see your ideal life in vivid detail. When you can clearly picture where you want to go, it becomes easier to take the steps needed to get there. It's not enough to just dream about success. You have to see it. The mind is an incredibly powerful force, and when you visualize something deeply, you begin to align your actions with that vision. Consider the journey of a man who longed to live a life of freedom and travel the world. For years he told himself, "One day I'll travel the world and explore new places." But it wasn't until he took a moment to truly visualize this dream in full detail that things began to shift. He closed his eyes and imagined waking up in a sunny apartment in Paris, sipping coffee by the window, and then heading out to explore the city. He imagined himself feeling confident and relaxed as he made new connections and enjoyed different cultures. With this clear picture in his mind, he began to take small actions, researching flights, saving money, and learning about different cultures. The moment his mind was aligned with his goals, the path became much clearer. A quote from Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, reflects this. "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." This is the essence of visualization. Without a clear vision, any action will feel aimless. But once you have a mental image of your ideal life, you can steer your decisions and actions in the right direction. Think about it. Have you ever tried to achieve something without truly knowing what success looked like? Perhaps you've set a goal, but as you worked toward it, you realized you were unsure about the details. What success actually feels like, looks like, or how it would change your life. The clearer you can make that vision in your mind, the more likely your mind and body will work together to bring it to life. So why not take the time to really see it? Imagine yourself already living that life. What would your mornings look like? What kind of people would surround you? What would you do with your time? A woman once dreamed of a life where she balanced a fulfilling career with personal time for herself and her family. She envisioned herself waking up early, feeling energized, and having the freedom to spend quality time with loved ones before heading to her job, where she was both challenged and appreciated. By visualizing this lifestyle in clear detail, she could begin making choices that brought her closer to this life. She said no to overtime hours that interfered with family time and took up more projects at work that aligned with her passions. Slowly but surely, she began to see her life match her vision. But visualization is more than just imagining things happening. It's about immersing yourself in the experience. It's about feeling the emotions you would feel if you were already living that ideal life. When you feel the joy, the peace, or the pride of having achieved your goal, your brain begins to work in ways that make this vision a reality. Have you ever found yourself thinking, "This is exactly how I want to feel every day"? That's the power of visualization. It's not just about having a dream, but feeling it in your body as if it's happening now. So, ask yourself, what does your ideal life look like in full detail? Are you taking the time to clearly visualize it and then take action toward it? The next time you set a goal, instead of just outlining the steps, ask yourself to really see it, feel it. This practice of visualization can be the key that unlocks the door to your ideal life. Overcoming limiting beliefs. Break free from self-doubt. One of the most common obstacles people face in achieving their goals is the limiting beliefs that hold them back. We all have an inner voice, that small but loud part of us, that questions our abilities, convinces us that we're not good enough, or tells us that success is meant for others, not us. These thoughts, these limiting beliefs, are often the very things preventing us from taking the leap toward our dreams. But what if we could quiet that voice and break free from self-doubt? Take, for instance, a man who dreamed of starting his own business, but was always haunted by thoughts like, "I'm not experienced enough," or "What if I fail?" These beliefs seemed to take root every time he considered making a move. He had the passion and the ideas, but he was paralyzed by the thought that he wasn't qualified, or that failure was inevitable. It wasn't until he recognized these doubts as limiting beliefs that he could begin to see them for what they were: false narratives, not facts. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." In the same way, overcoming limiting beliefs doesn't require you to gain anything external. It requires you to free yourself from the mental barriers you've placed on your own potential. It's about realizing that the belief that you're not enough is just that, a belief. It isn't reality. Consider how a woman aspiring to be a writer once felt trapped by the belief that only professionals could write for a living. She thought, "I don't have the right credentials or enough experience to be taken seriously." But after reflecting on her passion for writing and the stories she had to share, she realized that these beliefs were limiting her ability to even start. She decided to take small steps, writing daily and sharing her work with others. Gradually, her confidence grew, and with it, the realization that the only thing holding her back was her belief that she couldn't succeed. Why do we let self-doubt control us? Have you ever stopped to think about how much power we give to those limiting beliefs? When you focus on what you think you can't do, your mind begins to gather evidence to support that belief. But the opposite is true as well. When you start challenging those doubts, you open the door to new possibilities. The truth is, we all carry these beliefs, whether it's about our careers, our relationships, or our worthiness for success. But those beliefs are not set in stone. It's like a cloud passing through the sky. You can choose to let it hang around, or you can choose to let it float away. How many times have you given into self-doubt, only to realize later that it was a passing thought, not the truth? Overcoming limiting beliefs isn't about eliminating them entirely. It's about acknowledging them without letting them control your actions. It's about reframing the story you've been telling yourself. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" ask, "What if I succeed?" The more you challenge your beliefs, the more you'll start to see that the only limits that exist are the ones you place on yourself. So ask yourself, what is the biggest limiting belief holding you back right now? How would your life look if you decided to let go of it? When you take that step, even in small ways, you break free from the chains of self-doubt, and you make space for growth, opportunity, and success. The question is, what will you do next to overcome your own self-limiting beliefs? Consistency in action, making manifestation a habit. Many people find themselves stuck in the cycle of wishing for success, but never quite achieving it. The truth is that manifestation isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process. Consistency is the key that unlocks its potential. It's easy to dream big and hope for change, but what really makes things happen is the consistent effort you put into aligning your actions with your goals. Take, for instance, a woman who set out to lose weight and get healthier. At first, she was excited, pushing herself to the gym every day, eating better, and feeling motivated. But after a few weeks, the excitement faded, and she began to skip workouts and let unhealthy eating habits creep back in. Her results slowed, and she began to feel defeated. What she hadn't realized was that manifestation isn't just about thinking positively once in a while. It's about making it a part of her daily routine. As soon as she committed to consistency, whether she felt like it or not, things started to shift. She didn't rely on motivation alone. She built the habit of showing up every day, even when the enthusiasm wasn't there. Slowly, her body responded, her energy increased, and the results followed. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This powerful idea highlights the importance of consistent effort, even when things seem difficult. The obstacles you face aren't there to stop you. They're there to teach you resilience. When you commit to consistent action, even in the face of challenges, you're not only manifesting your desires, but also growing stronger along the way. Think about it. How many times have you set a goal only to let it fade because the initial excitement wore off? How many times have you let setbacks discourage you? It's human nature to want quick results, but the truth is that lasting change takes time and commitment. Without consistency, manifestation is just a dream. It's the daily actions, the little steps that bring it to life. It's easy to be motivated for a few days, but what about when motivation wanes? That's where consistency comes in. It's about showing up, even when you don't feel like it. Whether it's taking that extra step toward your goal every day, or just keeping the belief alive in your mind, consistency is what turns thoughts into reality. After all, Rome wasn't built in a day, but every day, a little brick was added to the wall. So ask yourself, what daily habits can you implement to move closer to your dreams? If manifestation truly works through consistent action, what would happen if you made that your habit? The road to achieving your goals isn't always glamorous, but it's the persistent effort and the willingness to keep going even when the going gets tough that makes all the difference. Will you commit to making manifestation a habit in your own life? To manifest your dreams, it's essential to put the lessons we've covered into practice. Start by visualizing your ideal life in vivid detail. Let your mind explore the possibilities. Then, break free from the limiting beliefs that hold you back, recognizing that you are capable of achieving what you desire. With consistent action, you'll begin to notice the power of your efforts aligning with your intentions. Remember, manifestation isn't about instant results. It's about showing up day after day with dedication and belief. As you move forward, apply these practices consistently in your daily life. Whether it's through positive visualization, challenging your doubts, or staying committed to your goals, you'll begin to see how these small steps compound over time. The benefits of staying consistent are profound. It creates momentum and brings your dreams closer to reality. So, what's one step you can take today to begin manifesting the life you want? Reflect on this and share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your personal journeys and how you're applying these insights. If you found value in today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official. Join the community as we explore more powerful ways to transform our lives through Stoic principles and positive action. Let's keep manifesting greatness together.